over the meeting is our mayor, Mr. Kerry Darcy.
We'll begin with roll call. Mayor Darcy.
Here.
Councilman Cardenas.
Here.
Councilman Clement.
Here.
Councilman Guerrero.
Here.
Councilman Hug.
Here.
Councilwoman Ibarra.
Here.
Councilman Mudrin.
Here.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Here.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Here.
First is citizens to be heard on agenda items. Mary Beth Gannon regarding Council Memo 76-24.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Let's be honest, this isn't really a grant. It's a taxpayer bailout for the museum. It's also a bailout for a hostile workplace. I'd like to know how many of you actually read the entire IG report that I'm not allowed to see, that my coworkers are not allowed to see. If you read all of it and you still vote yes, this is what you're voting yes for. You are voting yes to managers who canceled the highly profitable guard tours at the prison that brought in $1,250 when we had a full group. You are voting yes to managers who canceled the profitable, highly profitable paranormal tours because the organizers of those paranormal tours supported us, supported the band, the Ousted. You are voting yes to a manager that I saw at his desk maybe only 2 or 3 days a month. But he repeatedly gave himself raises, as well as raises to the managers who backed him. You're voting yes to a manager who repeatedly made fun of disabled and older employees, made fun of a disabled person who had a lisp, also ordered that same person to clean toilets, even though we had a cleaning service, ordered a senior citizen to shovel snow, even though we had a service for that. You are voting yes to managers who made fun of our board members from the museum. I don't think they know about that yet, but I'll get into that later or perhaps tomorrow. You're voting yes, even though the IG report details huge financial discrepancies, in particular with liquor funding. Where's that money? You're voting yes to a group of managers who kept a disabled employee against her will and screamed at her repeatedly, blocking the doors so she was not allowed to leave the room. That's what you're voting yes for. You're voting yes to managers who threw out highly valuable donations that people gave, trusting that the museum would take care of their family treasures. You are voting yes to a manager who sold artifacts and did not give money to the office manager. When I mentioned that these items were sold to the office manager said, I know nothing about that. I never received the money. Where's that money? You're voting yes to managers who lost the Darcy family christening gown, which I inquired about last year when I did my talk on local Irish history. I wanted to have that as I was trying to represent all the Irish families who settled in this area. When I asked where the Darcy family christening gown was, I was told, don't ever bring that up again. We don't know where it is. It's gone. So you trust these people with our history when they lose stuff, when they sell it, when they treat the disabled like garbage? You're voting yes for managers who sold antique mannequins from Klein's worth about $600 a piece. They were sold for $25. You are voting yes for managers who no longer have me there giving my highly successful local history talks that regularly had 150 to 200 people in attendance. That's more than those rooftop concerts get. I suggested that they charge for those talks, and no, they didn't. It would have made the museum money. You know, when you vote yes, you are just as bad as them. And I see I got about 30 seconds here, so I'm going to try to wrap it up. I'm going to get into a little bit of a manifesto that I sent to managers detailing all the many events that happened while I was there, including one of the board members, Don Gavoni, being called a bridezilla by our guest services manager, saying you wasted thousands of dollars. Mr. Gavoni didn't deserve that. He's a very nice man. You know, they gossiped about everyone at work constantly. You know, to be continued. Thank you.
If there's anyone else that would like to speak on an agenda item, I ask that you form a line in the center aisle. Once the aisle is, no one is left in the aisle, we'll move on to the next agenda item.
Mr. Mayor, council members, good evening. I'm
Daniel Phillip, one of the 13 volunteers and employees of JAM that were purged this past spring. I'm sure most of you have already decided which way you'll vote on the resolution 76-24 regarding a grant for JAM. I'm here to remind you that approving this grant, whatever oversights and accountability are built in, is a tacit approval of all of that stuff. When a council member was investigated for alleged ethics violations such as voting on funding resolutions while holding a financial stake in the receiving agencies, the Inspector General report was not kept under wraps. Those were serious allegations, yet a number of articles can easily be found online. As one of the 13 purged people with a termination letter baselessly accusing me of several crimes, with the then Deputy Corporation Counsel CC'd on that letter, I feel it is within my right to access this IG report. Since using the form online has resulted in denials for me, others of the purged, and even legal counsel, please consider this my formal request to receive this report. The leadership structure at JAM is not my concern. The old Joliet prison is. After several collapses in the historic admin building, the hospital roof falling in, and the roofs in the cell blocks are literally peeling away. It's time for a change in stewardship. We need a competent, driven, and ethical organization to assume the caretaker role of this historic property. Indeed, a viable candidate can be found mere steps away from JAM, just around the corner. Thank you for your time.
Seeing no one else in line, next we'll have the city manager review the actionable items on the agenda.
Starting with this one. Starting with the interns.
Yes.
Okay. First, we have Council Memo 5124, position vacancies. These are all summer laborers and interns. Next, Council Memo 5224, award of a contract for the 2024 sewer cleaning and inspection program to National Power Rotting Corporation in the amount of $770,057.25. Moving on to Council Memo 5324, award of a contract for the 2024-2025 tree trimming and removal contract to Arbortech Landscape Services, Inc. in the amount of $154,433.48. Council Memo 5424, award of contract for the Broadway Street roadway project to PT Farrow Construction Company in the amount of $1,247,095.87. Council Memo 5524, purchase of 21 Ford Interceptors from Sutton Ford, Inc. for $881,295 and uplift materials from Ray O'Hare and Company, Inc. for $165,348.80. Council Memo 5624, purchase of one new Caterpillar skid steer and attachment from Altor4 Industries, Inc. in the amount of $90,000. Council Memo 5724, purchase of water metering equipment from Core and Main LP in the amount of $68,445. Council Memo 58-24, professional services agreement for the Force Main Assessment Program to RJN Group, Inc. in the amount of $140,700. RJN Group, Inc. provided proposal to complete an internal inspection of the Millsdale Lift Station Force Main, Route 66 Lift Station Force Main, and Cherry Hill Lift Station Force Main for the not to exceed amount of $140,700. Council Memo 5924, professional service agreement for the construction, testing, soil boring services for the 2025 Water Main Improvement Program to K&S Engineers, Inc. in the amount of $99,885. Council Memo 60-24, amendment number 1 for the IDOT I-80 reconstruction coordination, Joliet Water and Sewer relocation feasibility study, professional services agreement to V3 companies in the amount of $189,000. Council Memo 61-24, change order number 1 for the 2023 sidewalk curb replacement project, contract D to Austin Tyler Construction, Inc., reducing the amount of $450. Council Memo 6224, change order number 2 for the 2023 sidewalk curb replacement project, contract C to J&J Newell Concrete Contractors, reducing the amount of $4,053.50 and payment estimate number 4 and final in the amount of $5,729.25. Council Memo 63-24, change order number 5 for sidewalk vault improvements, 16 West Van Buren Street and 79 North Chicago Street to Lindbad Construction Company of Joliet Incorporated, reducing the amount by $294,939.88, and pay request number 6 and final in the amount of $76,927.55. Council Memo 64-24, approve payment for contractor snow removal for the January 12th to the 13th, 2024 snowstorm and the total amount of $102,466. Council Memo 65-24, approve payment for Julie One Call System Services to Julie Inc. in the amount of $30,347.40. Council Memo 66-24, payment in full for the City of Joliet's share of the Timberline Drive resurfacing to Troy Township Road District in the amount of $45,179.12.
Mayor?
That concludes the consent agenda. Any questions?
Yeah, no, actually, comment. If I understand, Beth, you have reverse rescinded that 2-week delay that we've been doing for a while on contracts, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, like today, there's some of these items that were talked about today that will be on tomorrow, and there's some from 2 weeks ago, and people up here or out there, and I always had a problem with that, would be like, well, when do they discuss that? So thank you for removing that, because that just, it delayed the contract, it delayed the work, it delayed the payment. It's all of that, so
Yeah.
thank you. I mean, and just so people know out there, it goes through a rigorous review on staff, departmentally, engineering, legal department, city manager. Then it goes through a rigorous review on our committee level, where we look at it and we ask questions, a lot of questions. So there's nothing left to do, there's nothing that's left to wait for. It's done properly, so thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, we'll move on to agenda items. The first item, Council Memo 68-24, to award of a contract for the Plainfield Road, Theodore Street, Black Road Water Main Improvements Project to Austin Tyler Construction in the amount of $9,475,973.24. This had to be resubmitted because we had the wrong amount at the last meeting. Council Memo 69-24, purchase of 2 additional future fire apparatus from Fire Services, Inc. for $2,314,308. The Joliet Fire Department has developed a 5-year forecast for apparatus replacement, and 2 units were approved in 2023. So this is just getting ahead of it, so the city will be able to realize significant cost savings if we order them now and not years from now. We'll be able to lock in the price now.
Mayor, question for Chris. We discussed it on the committee, and I'm not gonna wait for the report tomorrow. We're allocating, or we gave a recommendation to approve on something where it's in the future. We don't know what which fund we're gonna use yet or all that. Is that legal?
It is. All we're doing is locking in today's pricing for future purchases. So we are going to contract with the distributor to get this stuff. He'll give us today's prices, but they're not going to be delivered.
No,
for the
I
next
understand.
couple
They
of
already had a 12% increase in the last month, and they're expecting another increase in the spring. So this is a great idea. We all supported it. We just wanted to dot our I's and cross our T's. Can we legally do that this way?
We're fine on that.
Okay, thank you. That's all. Here we go, guys. Thank you, ma'am.
Moving on to license and permit applications. Oh, yeah. Deputy Liquor Commissioner, would you like to tell us about this?
Mayor, City Council, item number 71-24. Item 71-24 is an application for issuance of a Class C liquor license at 7825 Caton Farm Road, Plainfield, Lenny's Caton Farm Liquors. A Class C license authorizes the sale of alcohol for consumption off premise. The applicant has multiple small, similar businesses, has over 30 years of experience in the sale of alcohol and service of alcoholic beverages, and is seeking issuance of a new liquor license. The Liquor Commissioner is recommending approval at this time. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to Council Memo 72-24, application for a drive-through permit for a Starbucks restaurant at 2211 Jefferson Street.
Can I ask a question about that, Mayor?
Sure.
I'm very curious. Did we just approve, and I haven't seen any movement at the building, it's the old Long John Silver's building. We just approved in the last few months a coffee place there, and now we're approving another coffee place right down the street. Don't get me wrong, I have no problem with them doing something with the Baker Square building, because me and you have discussed that. But I'm just wondering, like, I guess what I'm really wondering is, does that coffee shop that we just approved a few months ago now know that we're bringing Baker Square, like, right down the street? They could throw a stone at the Starbucks. So I'm just wondering. I'm wondering if they're aware. Here comes the Starbucks, and we already approved a coffee shop that's so close that they could throw a stone at it. I'm just wondering, like, I guess our business people aren't here to speak to that.
Could you? What? Yeah, we don't have an answer. I'm gonna have to get back to you on that.
Okay, thank you.
Eva's here.
He was here.
Eva's here.
Oh, then would Eva be able to answer that question?
I was going to say the same thing. I'll consult with Caesar and see if they're
Okay.
aware of the adjacencies or the near adjacencies. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Moving on to resolutions. Council Memo 7424, resolution approving community development block grant agreement with the Latino Economic Development Association. Council Memo 75-24, resolution approving a letter of understanding with the Illinois Department of Transportation for the routine maintenance of the residential side of traffic noise abatement walls at the Richard Street and I-80 interchange, along with the maintenance control and administration of the new sidewalk along Richard Street from Oscar Avenue to Fifth Avenue.
Mayor, excuse me. These walls, we're gonna get an agreement with IDOT here because they're supposed to maintain these retaining walls. Well, for the last 2 years, there was an accident at a 5-day retaining wall in October of 2022. And there was a car wreck and the wall has been destroyed, and I have tried to take care of it. I have talked to Mr. Ruddy. We both talked to IDOT. We both talked, I don't know if he did, but we did contact Senator Meg Capel, who has that district, who has a lot of connections with IDOT. She goes to their meetings, and now it's 2 years later, and we still have no resolution to that wall. So if we go into this agreement, how long is it going to take them to make these repairs if there are accidents? And this is my issue with this particular one.
Yeah, so I want to get that information from you because I might be able to help with IDOT. But
Okay.
this these traffic noise abatement walls, the city, as part of the letter of understanding, the city will maintain the walls and the sidewalks.
I thought it was just graffiti. I didn't know. Mr. Ruddy, could you explain that to me, please?
Yeah, so we handle minor maintenance like graffiti abatement, as well as like vegetation removal, that type of thing. They are supposed to be responsible for major maintenance. So if the wall is damaged or destroyed, like on Friday Road, they're supposed to repair that. I think what they do is they don't do like one-off locations. They wait till they have a group of them to address them. But 2 years is a long time. They can reach out to them again to try and press them on this.
And what other recourse do we have? I mean, we've been asking and asking and asking. I even asked Oscar, who's the head of IDOT down there, and we've gotten nowhere. So I hate to do this, but 2 years is a long time, and I keep getting these emails. I keep saying, well, we're working on it. Well, nothing's happening, and, residents need to have answers.
Okay, no problem. I'll get with Greg and we'll make sure.
Yeah, I had talked to him
something
earlier, and I told him I was going to.
IDOT. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Council Memo 7624, resolution approving a grant to the Joliet Area Historical Museum. The city's provided funding to the museum since 2002. This item was tabled at the January 2nd, 2024 council meeting. We're proposing a $250,000 grant, $25,000 for public events, $125,000 in administrative of public operation for tours, program and special events at the prison, $100,000 administration of public operation for tours, program and special events at the museum. Council Memo 7724, resolution authorizing this.
Excuse me, Mayor. I think we probably should discuss this since we did table it. I'm curious, I think some of us at the time said we hadn't had a chance to look at the IG report concerning some problems and irregularities. I had already read it at that time. I was lucky enough to have had the time. Did everybody get a chance to read this?
I did.
You all read it?
I read it a couple times, yeah.
Okay. The question I have, number one, there was a comment made at the dice, and it is accurate. Over the years, last few years, we've got IG reports that were, finished, and they were released to the media and the FOIA, I guess, by the public. Why is this one not being? So what do we need to do to make it available to the public?
That is, that's a council decision. So just like before, it was discussed at a meeting to provide one to the museum, and everybody up there agreed to do it. That's the procedure that we've kind of established for releasing them, because the reports are the property of the mayor and the city council and the city manager. It's not up to any one individual to release them. It has to be a group decision. So if the council does want to release it to somebody, they all have to agree to it.
Well, I personally, as one member of the 9-member council, would support releasing it to those that have an interest in it. That's my stand. And other than that, I don't think it's a secret where I stand. I wouldn't be supporting this. I haven't supported the supplementing the historical museum for quite a number of years because it's shown no positive direction in becoming fiscally break even, fiscally, and this IG's report doesn't help the case. So I'm not going to be wordy tonight, but that's my stance. I personally, I don't know about the rest of the council, would like to see the report released.
I agree with Larry, Councilman Hug. I have no problem releasing it. So that's my stance.
I agree with Larry. Also, additionally, if public money paid for it in full transparency, I don't see any reason why it can't be released to the public. That's just how I feel about it.
Excuse me, Mayor. Can we do this tonight? Can we tell everybody to take a vote or whatever, or a straw poll to release those minutes?
It's not legislative action. So if you want to provide that to somebody.
I would agree with that as well, because the public needs to know as well. That's my thought.
Do you want to do it tonight? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah,
Can
sure.
we
I
do it
mean,
tonight?
for transparency, we're always talking about transparent. Let's just get it out there. There's no reason to keep it closed.
One-sided, but go ahead.
It is one-sided.
Yeah.
We have 4. We just need one more or more.
I'd give it out.
The mayor's 5. There it is.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody else that
Thank you.
supported it. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Council Memo 7724, resolution authorizing the city of Joliet to issue a request for qualifications for a poet laureate for 2024 through 2026.
Can you tell us a little more about this? And is it completely funded by a grant?
It is completely funded by a grant that is coming from the state of Illinois.
Right.
We've received the same grant for the last 3 years, and so this would provide funding for, this RFQ they're putting out for a poet to write at least 2 original works for and about Joliet.
And this is through the cultural or the arts commission.
The art commission recommends the RFQ to hire a poet laureate, which they would pay for with this grant money from the state of Illinois. It's not Joliet.
Right. Okay. I just wanted to make sure it was being
Taxpayer
paid
dollars.
for through the grant.
Through a grant.
Okay.
That's correct.
Mayor, question. Now, this is 6,000 total or 6,000 a year?
Total.
Total. Because it was kind of awkwardly written, so I needed to clarify. Thank you.
In the
you're
legislative
right, it
text,
is a
it says
little.
$1,500
it says
every
that
6
you-
months.
We're not guaranteed to have the grant next year. Maybe we will. Maybe it's likely. But couldn't we pay them the 6,000 under the 21,000 we're getting this year and be done with it? You see what I'm saying? because I read that, whoever wrote the text said, kind of like, the first year for sure, because we have the 21,000 for this fiscal year. While it might, it's likely, we don't know for sure, we'll have it next year or the year after, and they would have to understand that if the grant didn't come through, they could stay on, but voluntary only. It was just really awkward for me.
Yeah.
It was
Kevin,
really
can you
awkward.
help
Yeah, I
us
think
with that?
if we structure the contract that way, just my experience with this grant, that they'll allow it to be funded under this current.
So can we pay the whole 6,000 up front with this 21,000 that's coming in this year?
Based
Can
on
we
my
change
experience
it
with
to
the grant,
that?
yeah, I think so.
Can we change the wording to that? Because I would certainly support
That,
that.
I think you're able to do that when it comes to the RF, because this is just to release the RFQ.
This is just to release the
when you do
RFQ
the
to actually
contract-
find a poet to do it.
Okay. I mean, does anybody have a problem with what I'm describing? It seemed awkward to me.
I thought that's how it was gonna work, so yeah.
Okay.
This way you'll verbalize it, right?
Yeah, we got it on
In
on
print.
record now.
Yeah.
So, all right, then I'm good. And thank you, Councilwoman Roden, for bringing it up, because I was curious too.
They'll probably add you in the pros for this thing, Larry.
There you
Part of the
go.
poll.
A lot of things, rhyme with hug.
Finally, we have Council Memo 7824, resolution appropriating motor fuel tax funding for the Broadway Street roadway project. This is part of the 2023 roadway reconstruction program. $653,974.27 will be appropriated for the street roadway project. And that's the end of the report.
Next is public comments. I would ask if you'd like to speak under public comments to form a line in the center of the aisle. Once the line is exhausted, we'll move on with the rest of the agenda.
Hi, Christine Johnson. I'm one of the 13 that was purged from the prison, which I love. I just wanted to say thank you for releasing that report. It's nice to know that someone's really looking out for us, and thank you. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you for championing the release of that report. The museum's had that report for over a month. And I would respectfully ask that you delay the vote concerning, we don't even have that report yet. Can we get it tonight? And if we can get it tonight, that's less than 24 hours for us to prepare for your vote tomorrow. Please consider tabling another month. Give us time. I left a message with Ms. Bay. I was hoping to meet with her with our group, and I know she's busy, but we need enough time here. Please consider tabling this. And if we can get that report tonight, we're happy to pay for the copies. Thank you so much, and God bless.
We did receive a request for closed session. Is there a motion to go into closed session to discuss personnel, collective bargaining, land acquisition, or conveyance pending or threatened litigation, after which the meeting will be adjourned?
So moved. Second.
Been motion seconded to approve. Councilman Cardenas?
Aye.
Councilman Clement?
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilwoman Navarro?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Done
Mayor
real good,
Darcy
Mayor.
is absent.
Aye.
Motion carried.
I had to keep asking. I couldn't